Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the ReWOtch of season 1 of Wheel of Time with me, James, and my fedora. Today we're talking about the Wheel of Time episode 7, The Dark Along the Ways. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for continuing with me in this journey. It's been a whole lot of fun. I've been learning a lot about editing since I started this. I hope I've gotten better than the first episode that I did, or the first video that I did. I really do. If you've made it through this many videos, please like, subscribe, and share, and can come along with me as we continue to talk about the Wheel of Time. The director of this episode is Ciaran Donnelly, who is actually a director on quite a few different things that you might have heard of. Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, Vikings, The Professionals. There's another one that I'm aware of, and it was really good. Which one was it? Altered Carbon. But with that out of the way, let's get started. And we open up with what I would argue is probably the most brilliant cold open of the entire show so far. So we open up on a snowy mountainside. We see a woman running. She's got spears on her back that are bloody. She's obviously been in a battle. We actually hear sounds of battle all around her, and we see that she's being pursued by a group of men. And we find out that she's pregnant on top of all of this. And we see that she has a veil on her face. So the veil should tell you who this is, as the only people that we've had reference to wearing veils would be the Aiel when they're ready to kill somebody. She starts fighting, and she starts taking them out one at a time, and just goes on and on. And she starts having contractions in the middle of this battle. This showcases how good of a fighter she is, and it's not really explained in the show just yet, but the Aiel are supposed to be equally as skilled. Most of them are. So she takes out these guys one by one, and as she gets done taking them all out, she grabs the cloak off of one of them and crawls over to a rock, where she turns around and she's preparing to give birth. And all of a sudden there's another man standing over her, pointing his sword at her. And then we cut to the credits. After which, we pick up right where episode 6 left off. Our group of heroes are standing in the ways. It's very, very dark. They're trying to get Moiraine to open up the way gate again so they can get Matt through. Loyal explains that would be a very bad idea, as channeling would attract the attention of Machin Shin. And we don't really find out what Machin Shin is right now, but we will in a little bit. He also points out that Moiraine's already taken off and started heading out, so we all need to go too. So everybody gathers up their stuff and heads further into the ways. As they're walking away, Lan and Moiraine are talking to each other, and Lan points out, says, "What if Matt is the one?" And Moiraine just says, "No, he's not." She's pretty confident that if he was the one, he'd be there with them, but he decided to stay, so he's not. After traveling for a while, they come across a guiding stone. Perrin is actually the one that pointed out. He says, you hear him in the back, he says, "I see something ahead in the dark." And as they approach it, they find out that it's a guiding stone. And Moiraine has Loyal come up to see the guiding stone. The guiding stone is cracked. It looks like there's claw marks all over it. It looks like somebody has tried to erase what was etched in the stone. And Moiraine asks Loyal if he can still read it, and you find out this is what Loyal is there for. The ways were created by the Ogier to make a quicker way to get from one place to another, but eventually, over time, they was corrupted by some kind of darkness that infiltrated it, and Machin Shin roams and prowls around. So he says, I probably can. I'll need some time to look and really study and see if I can get it. Moiraine turns around and tells them, "Okay, we're all just going to take a rest. We don't have anything else to do right now. Get some sleep." So everybody kind of lays down where they can. They try to get some sleep. A little bit of time passes, and everybody's resting comfortably, or as comfortably as they can, on the cold hard ground. And Lan, who's already keeping watch, his eyes start shifting. He hears something. He notices something. We see Gwaine wake up, and she's kind of looking around, and she wakes up Rand. She's like, "Something's not right, Rand. Come on, get up." And at that point, everyone kind of starts waking up because the commotion's going on, and a Trolloc appears. And we get some quick scenes, and it looks like Egwene pushes him off using the one power. She quickly apologizes for doing it, saying that it was just instinct, she didn't mean to. Yeah, so after that, Loyal says, Machin Shin is coming, we gotta run, we gotta go to the Waygate, and they take off running, and we hear the sound of wind howling in the distance, getting closer and closer, and it kind of sounds like there's screams on it, but you can't really tell. Really good sound design. But they are eventually overtaken by Machin Shin, and Moraine tells everybody, don't listen to the voices. And as the wind overtakes people, we hear what the voices are saying, and they say something different to each person. The voices are telling Moraine that she is wrong about everything, and she's going to get all of the people killed. Lan is saying, like, you can't protect her, like just a blanket, you can't protect her, but it doesn't really specify which one. Perrin hears that he killed Layla because he's in love with another. Egwene hears that she is nothing, she's just an imposter, and she shouldn't be there. Rand hears that Egwene will never love him as much as he loves her. Nynaeve hears that she's going to lose everybody, she's going to listen to them scream as they die as she did her parents, and that she can't protect anybody. Nynaeve does not take to that. You don't tell Nynaeve that she can't protect somebody. It makes her angry. And when she gets angry, she explodes. And that's exactly what happens. She explodes with the one power, and she creates a protective barrier around the entire group. Machin Shin can't get through it. Moraine takes the opportunity to open up the Waygate, and everybody runs through as fast as they can. And they show up in Fal Dara. So they are a little ways outside of the city of Fal Dara, and we see mountains in the background with a little gap in between them. That's going to be important later. We're going to see a lot more of that. But they head into the city, and they're greeted by some soldiers. Lan especially gets a very, very warm greeting. Everybody treats him like he's an old friend, but they're told that they're going to be taken before Lord Agomar, and off they go. At least Lan and Moraine are. So they're brought into the throne room of the city of Fal Dara. Lord Agomar is there along with Lady Amalisa, his sister, and a whole bunch of retainers and soldiers and stuff like that. Lord Agomar talks to Moraine and says, "Oh, let me guess, you're here to advise me and tell me now how I should be doing things. Listen, lady, I've been doing this since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. My daddy did it before me. My grandpappy did it. Everyone, we've done this for generations. We know what we're doing." And Moraine interrupts and says, "Listen, I'm not here to advise you. I don't care. I got stuff going on to do. The only thing I am going to say is we just came through the ways. Trollocs are using the ways now, apparently, so you might want to do something about that." And Lord Agomar's like, "Oh my God, she really isn't. I'm sorry, Lady Sedai. We'll take care of that. You are welcome to stay. Hospitality's all yours." About the time that scene ends, we cut back to the gate at Fal Dara, or the gate outside Fal Dara, and we see Padan Fain arrive with no explanation as to how he got through the ways or how he opened them up in the first place, because Moraine had to channel. We go back inside the tower, and Moraine is speaking with Lady Amalisa, Lord Agomar's sister. Lady Amalisa is apologizing for her brother. She's saying, "I wrote to the tower, months ago about needing some extra help here. Are you the only one that they sent?" And Moraine's like, not really. And then Lady Amalisa says, "Well, why are you here?" Moraine doesn't answer her question, but she does say, "Listen, as somebody who was trained in the tower, but not strong enough to be raised to full sisterhood, I hope I can rely on your discretion. I need to get a message to the Red Ajah about Matt." She tells him to tell the Reds that Matt can channel. Afterwards, they're all heading to a tavern, and they're walking through the streets. And Perrin thinks that he sees Padan Fain, and he tells Nynaeve, but Nynaeve's like, "Perrin, that's impossible. Fain died at Beltane during Winter Night, during the Trolloc attack in the first episode, because apparently nobody else saw him leave. And none of the other characters have seen him as he's been showing up different places." So they get inside the tavern, and they all sit down at a table, and they're having drinks or getting a meal. Moraine goes up to the bar and sees the tavern keeper. It cuts back to the table, and Nynaeve is just like, I wonder what, why we shouldn't blindly follow her. What's she having to talk to the tavern keeper about? But we find out that Moraine is asking this lady Min what she sees, and this is the thing. Min sees visions around people. So Min starts telling her, I see golden eyes around, Perrin. He's got golden eyes and a bloody mouth. Around Rand, she just sees him holding a baby. Around the girls, she sees white dresses and golden rings. She also mentions to Moraine that she sees that they're all connected somehow. She sees darkness that surrounds them all and lights striking out at the darkness, but they're all connected somehow because of it. But she doesn't know what that actually means. So after Moraine speaks with Min, Nynaeve, they head back to the palace, or to the palace of Fal Dara, to the keep, and they're all sitting in a room, and Nynaeve basically says, all right, what is going on? What aren't you telling us? And Moraine says flat out, she says, we are going to the Eye of the World to fight the Dark One. I was hoping to find out who the Dark One was before this point, but I don't know. And because I don't know, I have to take all of you. And that means that one of you is the dragon, the rest are going to die. Yeah, kind of freaks some people out. She's like, listen, I know this is not the way anybody thought their life would go. None of us are doing what we imagined that we'd be doing, but this is how the weave go. This is how the will weaves, and the will weaves as the will wills. That's what she doesn't actually say that, but that's what she means. But she turns to go and she says, I'll leave you to the rest of your day, but make your decisions, and we leave at dawn. After she leaves, the whole group starts discussing what to do, with Egwene saying that we need to go. Rand is like, no, we don't. Nynaeve saying, why are you blindly trusting her? There's nothing saying that she's telling the truth. So it's like, yeah, she literally can't lie, but just because she can't lie doesn't mean that she's not able to mislead. Egwene brings up Matt, how she just left Matt behind, and Matt says the only person that's doing any leaving is you. And upsets her. Perrin steps up and tries to defend Egwene, saying like, listen, you need to be nice to her, don't talk to her that way. And Nynaeve just interrupts everybody and says, will you two stop fighting over Egwene? She's not some prize to be won. And then Rand is like, oh, a lot of things make sense now. Yeah. And Perrin's like, the only person I've ever loved is my wife. And with that, the group kind of breaks up for a little while. Rand goes off because he's all angry. Egwene goes off to do her thing. Perrin goes off to do his thing. Nynaeve goes off to do her thing. After the fight and everybody storming off, we see Moraine and Lan in the room together, and they're discussing what to do. Lan's trying to reassure her, yeah, they'll come. Don't worry. They're good people. They're not going to do this. And Moraine starts talking about how she met Lan and how they met and they got bonded, and she tells him that, I feel like I've taken everything from you. And he says, no, it's actually quite the opposite. When I met you, I was a king without a kingdom. I was a warrior without a war. I didn't have anything to live for, but you gave me that. You gave me a mission. You gave me something to fight for and stuff. And for that, I'll always be grateful. And as Lan turns to leave, Moraine's like, oh, by the way, I like Nynaeve. And Lan just like, does everybody know except me? That's exactly what this whole thing feels like. Everyone knows but Lan. Lan's coming to realize it, though. So Lan leaves Moraine, and he goes to see a family in the city of Fal Dara. And as he's walking around the town heading towards his destination, he knows he's being followed by Nynaeve. I get the impression from watching this, I get the impression that not only does he know, but he's actually slowing down and doing some deliberate things just so Nynaeve can keep up. But he eventually gets to the residence, and he gets greeted warmly by the family, gets brought into the home, and he is just laughing and carrying on and having a good time. And Nynaeve is sitting outside the window like a creep, looking in, stares for a long time, realizes like, oh man, I am being creepy, and turns around to leave, and all of a sudden Lan's there. and scares her. Like, she was just staring at him through the window, and then she literally turns around and there's Lan. I didn't know he could move that fast. But anyways, he invites her in and says, hey, why don't you come join us? So she goes inside. They think that she's a nice guy. She's like, no, but thank you for your hospitality. I would love some food. Sits down at the table with the family, and the man of the family like leans over and says, thank you for taking care of our Daishan. And she's just like, you're welcome. And Lan is laughing and carrying on with the little girl. Like, she's like, yeah, he's having a good time with her. Trying, like, doing what he can to cheer her up, making sure she laughs and telling jokes and stuff like that. And Nynaeve is all enamored by it. It's great. It's some good stuff. Afterwards, they leave the family. They head back to the keep. They get outside, I think, Lan's room. And they just kind of part ways a little bit, and Nynaeve turns around and leaves. Lan goes into his room, and he starts getting ready to go to bed for the night. He takes off his shirt. For all the ladies, this is a good, enjoy that scene. And as he's just getting ready for bed or whatever, Nynaeve comes in, and she's like, "Oh, should I go?" And he's like, "Nah, you stay." And she stays. Rand had headed down to the keep's archery range and was just trying to blow off some steam and relieve his anger and stress by shooting some targets with the arrows. And you don't know how much time has gone by, but some time has gone by. And Egwene comes in and says, listen, I thought you would come and find me. And Rand's response was, I know from experience that when you're ready to talk, you'll come and find me. I'm sorry, by the way. I apologize. Egwene just says, like, the reason why she got angry was because she cares about Matt. She obviously cares about Matt. She cares about everybody. And she really didn't like the insinuation that she didn't care about Matt. That happened in the previous argument. Again, Rand apologizes and says he understands he doesn't want to lose anybody either, but that he knows that he's going to lose her because he thinks that she needs to go to the White Tower. He thinks that's what she wants. So Rand and Egwene have a little bit of a moment together, and we switch back to Nynaeve, and she's getting fully dressed. Lan is asleep on the bed because, yeah, it happens. But Lan wakes up and sees her and says, are you getting ready to leave? And she's like, yeah, but she's got some questions. She asks him, why is he called Daishan? And Lan explains that he's the last king of Malkier. It fell when he was a baby. He was carried out by his father's retainers and armsmen. That's who the family was that he was visiting. It was, one of the last people to leave with him out of Malkier. And when I say Malkier fell, I mean Malkier fell to the Blight, which the Blight is a rot on the land stemming from the Dark One's prison. As he explains, a little bit about his life and that sort of thing, Nynaeve says, oh, I understand why you're with Moiraine now. You were a king without a kingdom, and she gave you something to do, so that's why you bonded her. Lan points out, like, yeah, but she doesn't own me. And he asks her to stay. So after that scene with Lan, we switch back to Rand and Egwene, and they're laying in bed. And Rand is remembering the night of the Trolloc attack, and he's remembering carrying his father through the woods. And his father was talking about finding a baby and knowing that his wife had always wanted a baby, so brought it to her, and they raised it as their own. And while he's remembering all of this, he gets up and he leaves and he goes back down to the archery range, and he's just trying to work through some stuff. And we're interspersed with scenes of him remembering things while shooting targets. And we see different scenes from the season that we've already seen. The scene from episode 3 when he was trapped in a room with Dana, I think was her name, the Dark Friend, and she was like, three men couldn't break down that door, and then Rand breaks it down. We see him remembering he channeled something to make the door fall as he smashed it. One of the other visions that Rand sees while he's remembering things is the scene with Machin Shin telling him stuff he already knows, or stuff he fears and things like that. He's also told that he's like, you know what you are, you're the Dragon Reborn, you've always known. After that, he goes to see Min, and goes to Min and says, hey, listen, am I the Dragon Reborn? And Min's just like, oh, I don't have time to deal with this. She's like, listen, you don't really want to know. Nobody really wants to know the visions that I see. But she starts telling them of the first vision that she ever saw. And it was of a baby being born on the side of Dragon Mount. And at that point, we cut back to the scene from the opening credits, where we see the man standing over the pregnant Aiel with the sword. He takes off his helmet, and we see that is Tam Althor, Rand's dad. Rand looks at Min and says, what do you see when you look at me? And Min says, I see the eye of the world. And Rand says, do I make it back? And Min just kind of doesn't say anything. And we cut to the next morning, and Egwene goes and knocks on Nynaeve's door, but Nynaeve doesn't answer. She kind of opens up the door, goes in the room. Nynaeve's never been there. After she kind of sits down on the bed, Nynaeve walks in, and Egwene's just like, where have you been? You haven't been here because your bed hasn't been slept in, huh? Right after that, Perrin comes in, still discussing what they're going to do, that they're about to go see Moraine, and everybody's going to head off to the Eye of the World at once. Lan knocks on the door. So everyone's there except for Moraine and Rand. We see another scene where Rand knocks on the door, opens up, Moraine opens it up, and we see that at this point it's nighttime, so we know that it took place earlier than the other scene. And Rand just tells her, it's me. I'm the Dragon Reborn. And then the last scene is of Moraine and Rand heading off into the Blight alone, just the two of them. And that is how we finish episode 7 of The Wheel of Time. If you like this recap, please, by all means, like and subscribe, share it with your friends. And in the meantime, have a nice day. One of my children's toys just came on and scared the crap out of me. My heart is thumping. Hold on. Let me adjust my hat. Let me find some new words in here. All right. Okay. Yes.